Here's what happened with the blueberry muffins. There were no blueberry muffins the first day. We had put the show together. We had broken up. There were only 6 or 7 of us. We had kind of a skeleton road crew in Miami at ESPN Deportes Studios. We were not doing live crowds yet. We were doing it inside at Deportes. We're in a conference room. They did have a little makeshift breakfast spread. Stephen A. went and sniffed at it for a second. I was at the back of the room prepping as usual. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw him turn to the group and put his hands up and say, "No blueberry muffins?" And I got up and I walked up to him because he is my brother and he had fairly recently joined the show. And I defused the situation by saying, "Nobody knew that you wanted a blueberry muffin." I talked to him in just this tone of voice, and he always listened to me. He was great with me. I said, "Look, if you want a blueberry muffin, I promise you they will get you a blueberry muffin. They'll get you 2 or 3 blueberry muffins tomorrow." And he said, "I need a blueberry muffin." "Great, we will get you one." Stephen A. was kind of flexing his Stephen A. muscles because we'd had one incident before in a meeting in Bristol, a pre-show meeting. By the way, sometimes he was a little late for those meetings, but that's Stephen A., and that's why I love him. But at one point, one of our producers snapped at him in the meeting, and I snapped at the producer, and I said to that producer, you can ask Stephen A., "Do you know who you're talking to? That's Stephen A. Smith." Can Stephen A. be a bit of a diva sometimes? Yes, he can, but that's what fuels him to his greatness on air. That's his rocket fuel. My wife, Ernestine, often says to me, "You know what? You need to be a little more of a diva. You deserve to be a diva. You don't stand up for yourself enough. You don't act like who you are on television off camera." And I don't. That's just me, but she's right. I don't draw a line in the sand enough. I don't say, "No, it's going to be this way because it should be this way because it deserves to be this way." But I loved it that Stephen A. said, "I want a blueberry muffin." And guess what? The next day, there was a blueberry muffin for him. And guess what he did the next day? He sniffed at the blueberry muffins. I think they got 6 of them. And he turned away and he walked away. And I'm at the back of the room. I said, "Hey, wait a second. They got you blueberry muffins." And he turned to me and said, "I'm just not hungry today." That's the Stephen A. I know and love. I wish I had more of that in me. But now to the ultimate punchline of this story that nearly tore me apart. That first day at ESPN Deportes, moments later, we're out on their set and we go live at 10 a.m. Eastern, previewing Game 3 of the finals between Oklahoma City and Miami, the first game at Miami. It's 1-1, if you might remember. And as we go live with Jay Crawford as our moderator, the producer in the control room accidentally hit what I think they called the all call button, where we could hear what the producer was saying in the control room. And just at that moment, our showrunner, Jamie Horowitz, had just flown in. He just walked in to the back of the control room. And the producer turned to tell Jamie about the blueberry muffin story, because my crew there, our group, our staff, hadn't worked with Stephen A. on the road before, and they thought it was hilarious that he was demanding a blueberry muffin. It was just so vintage Stephen A. that they didn't yet know. So the producer is telling our showrunner this story in our ears as we're on live TV trying to talk Thunder Heat, Durant versus LeBron. And I'm hearing the story in my ear, knowing that Jay and Stephen A are hearing this story in their ears as we try to talk over and through the story. Well, this is horrifying because I was afraid that Stephen A would leap to the conclusion, rightfully so, that he's being laughed at behind the scenes. He's being humiliated. He's being shamed. And I'm watching his eyes for any note, any indication that he is hearing what I'm hearing, and I can't see any. And we talk through it and finish, and Jay obviously heard it, is looking sideways at me like, uh-oh, here we go. And I'm thinking Stephen A is going to throw a fit when we go to commercial break. I'm thinking that producer is going to be off our show. Or I'm thinking Stephen A is going to walk off the set as he deserved to walk off the set. That was just wrong. But that happened. And to this day, I don't know why. Stephen A either didn't hear or it did not compute, because I watched carefully as we went to break, took his phone as always and started scrolling through his Twitter responses as always, like nothing had happened. And I'm looking at Jay and he's looking at me like, whew, did we just dodge one? It could have disrupted the whole rest of the show, and we'd only just done our A block. I hope you enjoyed that video. You ready for more? Make sure you click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from the Skip Bayless Show. And don't forget to check out the full episode of the show wherever you get your podcasts by clicking the link in the description.